Okay, so today we are doing the third part of this series on grief and grieving, and been talking about the five stages that Elizabeth Kubler Ross had talked about, the late Kubler Ross, because it's something she wrote about and she discussed. And her whole point is that we all go through stages, but sometimes we don't even realize what it is we are feeling. And so, what I've been talking about is as we go through this time of the coronavirus, and it could be anything else that you're experiencing that has a sense of loss, because we grieve when a loss occurs, whether the loss is something that is substantial. It could be a loss of a home, a loss of a job, a loss of a family member, a loss of an income, a loss of something that's important to you. And sometimes it's just really a pattern that you had, a normalcy, a loss of the normalcy. These are things that we grieve, but sometimes we don't even realize what is happening to us when we are grieving that. We have certain feelings that are occurring, but we're not sure what it is we are feeling, but we know we're feeling something. We're kind of off, right? We're off in our game. And the question is then, how do we navigate? How do we go through this time of grief? And the important thing, as you've listened to, hopefully, the last two videos I've done, the first one was on denying and denial. The second one was on anger. And this one is on bargaining. Because at this stage, after you've gone through the denial and the anger stage, there's a sense of I want to bargain. Now, this is not like bargaining for for a car or something like that. It has the similar feel or meaning to some degree, but this one has to more of like it has in it regrets, and it has in it the if only or what if, right? For example, now we are in the social distancing era. And so we were bargaining. Initially, we were denying that this is going on and we're going to be home for such a long time and hoping it would not be true. And then we become angry after we realize it's really happening and we're in it and we're losing certain things around us. Life is not what it used to be. And there's a sense of anger that we're feeling and frustration, all the same thing, right? And then we're going, okay, we are now moved past anger. So we begin to bargain. Okay, if social distancing distance for 2 weeks, I can do that and everything will be okay, right? Everything will be better, right? We're asking that question. Okay, I'll give in to that. I'll go with that. But then, are you promising me, or could you promise me that life as I knew it will return to normalcy? And that is true of any loss, right? You lost a family member or a friend, and you're bargaining, God, please let this not be true. Can I go back to the normalcy that I had in that relationship? And so that is tend to begin to happen. And after a loss, and so bargaining is like a temporary, a form of a temporary a truce. Okay, let's come to a truce. Let's come to a understanding. Let's come to a place where we can kind of bargain our way and negotiate, right? So we become lost in a maze at this point, and we're now using our arguments. If only God, then if you only you let me through this one time and let this be not true, then I will. Right? We also, what if I had done something different? What if I had made this move? What if I had not said what I said? And so we go through these what ifs, and then regrets also come to the top. So we are bargaining and hoping that our bargain could get us a more preferred outcome. We're bargaining, hoping for that a change would occur. But really, in essence, what we want to do, we want to go back to our normalcy, that's a form of grief. And so maybe in this stage of this coronavirus, COVID-19, and the quarantine and the lockdown and the shelter in place and all the different phrases that are being used, it's a grief. And I call it the corona grief. So you heard it first right here. It's the corona grief, I call it. And people are grieving more than they actually realized. And some people don't even know how to handle it. And so my hope is that you can identify what it is you're feeling. Because, in the whole, what I teach a lot on is emotional intelligence. And so what happened is that it's simply saying the ability to accurately identify the emotions you're experiencing. What is that emotion? Because if you can't name it, like I said in my last video, but you can't name the emotion, it's hard to tame it. It's hard to do anything about it. It's hard to manage it. And so it's important that we understand that this grieving process is occurring and you know exactly the feelings you're having and you can give it a label. You can give it a name. And then you can work around that. Because what happened is once we understand what we're trying to do, is probably not going to really work, right? The loved one is not going to come back. The job may or may not come back. That loss in a relationship may or may not. So we can begin then to create a new set of script, a new narrative, a new way of looking at things, or another way, an alternative way of looking at things so that we can manage what it is we're experiencing. So I wanted to jump on today again, share with you and just talk about this third stage, bargaining. And the question is, are you finding any of this to be true about you? Are you seeing this happening in your life? Do you sense this might be what's happening, what's going on? The question is, what do you do? Well, I would recommend, like I did in the last video, is reach out, talk to someone, process these feelings. It's important that you do. And so if you are interested and I can be of assistance, please reach out to me. You can see scrolling at the bottom some information that you can use to connect with me so we can have this conversation. And possibly I could either offer you some resources or be of a personal help or refer you to the best possible source I might know of. So I wanted to just take this time and talk about this, and hopefully this helps you move closer to your best hope. As I've often said and always will say, you're one skill away from your best hope, one skill. And hopefully this will be one way to bring you closer to what it is you're looking for. And this is what it's all about. So again, I want to say thank you for taking the time to listen. I would love to hear your thoughts, your comments, and what's the most useful part of this conversation. I'd love to hear. So make sure you leave a comment, ask a question, and let me see if I can help you in that regards. So thank you so much. With that said, my friend, peace out. God bless. And I'll see you on the flip side. Yeah.